So we talked about the business outlook. So my next question is, do people have a right to their own opinions?
Absolutely.
If a person disagrees with you, oh, go ahead.
No.
If
This
a
is
person
the second part of the question.
Okay. If a person disagrees with you, do you have a right to change their opinion?
No, I don't think you change their opinion. I think an approach that you can take, if somebody disagrees with what I say, in the business context and maybe more specifically in what this position would entail, I think it's important to be okay with people having their own opinions, but I think in the process of helping other people understand what it is you're trying to do and what the advantages are of digital space. And I think it's important to share the message that we as employees have for these businesses, because I don't think a lot of people really understand. Maybe the older generations who are running their own businesses, they might not understand what the possibilities of this type of opportunity are. And so even though someone might have their own opinion and disagree with what we're approaching them with, I think it's important that you definitely lay down the facts and let them know how it will help them so they can kind of understand and maybe recreate their opinion of what is, at stake and what the possibilities are. Because, some people, are maybe just be stubborn or arrogant, and, when they find out really how it can help them, then they might open up and change their opinion.
Okay. How often do people tell you that you're too intense?
Never.
Okay. To what degree do you strive to be the best at what you do?
A high degree. At my last position, I did a lot of business-to-business sales. I worked with a bunch of resellers across the Western United States and sold specific products. One task I got was a side project for the business, and I had two and a half weeks to get this business up and running. It was a kiosk inside the Newgate Mall, actually, and I didn't really have a lot of information to go off of, and it was a lot of responsibilities put on me to start the small business, along with hiring, some employees for this kiosk. And for myself, it was a lot of pressure because it was such a short time frame, and we needed to start selling immediately to make profitable sales on this adventure, essentially. And I really put it on myself to make sure that I continue to do my job, responsibilities effectively, but really put time and effort into this new adventure to create opportunity for our business and for the brand itself to succeed in our local market. And so I really put I put a lot of hard work into the task at hand and my responsibilities to make sure that it's done right, it's done successfully, so that we can look back and have a positive experience or retract some positive information from it. So I really push to make sure that things are done well, and I at the highest degree put my best effort into it.
Okay. How do you feel when a job is unfinished?
Very unsatisfied. It's important that you finish what's at hand. I come from a background of athletics, and I watch a lot of sports as well, and a lot of teams hold up the fourth quarter, and it represents the fourth quarter symbol, and it represents being a finisher. And a lot of games are won or lost in the last minutes of a game or a match. And I think it's important as well in the business world and in your job responsibilities that you really push to the end to make sure that you accomplish and you finish what's at hand, whether it's a difficult phone call, whether it's a report that needs to be done, whether it's a presentation, You know, I think it's important to really push to the end to make sure that you have a very satisfactory um, presentation or whatever it may be, a report, to really make sure that those affected by it get what they need out of it.
Okay. So tell me about the best sale you've ever made.
The best sale, okay. I was, in one of my positions, I did sponsorships for events. And so I reached out to a lot of businesses depending on where the event was. And probably the best one I did was out in California. It was with Fiat, the car company. We had a huge sponsorship sale. It was a one-time sale. But it was the biggest sale I've ever done. I got Fiat to come be a part of our event. It was a 5K fun run. And we set up the opportunity to have Fiat there for individuals to test cars. They used their cars as shuttles. But it was, you know, it was a huge sale it was a $5,000 sale, which, you know, can be big or small, but in this case it was a very large sponsorship for a one-day event. But it had a huge impact on us. The runners, or quote unquote our customers, loved it. You know, many of them got to test drive these cars, these fancy new cars. These, you know, they're a little tricked out. So I think that it was a difficult one, though. I'll be honest. It was very time-consuming, very difficult. There was a lot of hard work put into it. There were a lot of avenues I had to go down, a lot of people I had to communicate with to make it happen. But, you know, like I said before, I mean, a lot of hard work went into it, and it was a lot of satisfaction came out of it because of the result on event day. And so that was probably the biggest one for me, not because of the dollar amount or anything, because I've had a lot bigger sales with my last business, but this one, a lot of effort went into it, and there's some other ones with Habitat, you know, here in the community that were pretty satisfying as well. But, you know, that's probably the one that really pushed because it was more difficult. So maybe just create a little bit more satisfaction for myself.
Okay. How do you react to unexpected situations?
Well, at first, honestly, I really tried to take a step back. You know, I think it happens probably more than it should, but the unexpected event that comes up, you know, I really try to take a step back and take an overall view of what's going on and see how I can best handle the situation, see if there's any type of problem solving that I can put into the situation. You know, quick reactions are sometimes needed, but most of the time, you know, we have time to take a step back and analyze what's in front of us and kind of dissect what's happening to make sure that we handle the situation the best we can.
Okay. How much do you like convincing people to do what you want them to do?
I enjoy it if I think it's a good thing. So, yeah, I guess two examples. I enjoy skiing. You know, I ski up at Snowbasin quite a bit. And I ski with my dad and my brother a lot. And I'm more of the adventure type skier, and so I definitely try to convince them, because they're not as much, to go on these, you know, paths less taken, so to say, because it creates opportunity and adventure, as well as a memory. And so, you know, it definitely entices me to bring people along because of what the outcome is. And I think that also goes along with the business world too, because if you're convinced of something, you know, what, for this example specifically, I mean, if what the Standard can provide digitally for these businesses around, you know, the 4 counties that the Standard serves, convincing them and bringing them along the journey is never a bad thing. It gives them opportunity to expand themselves, to brand their product or service to individuals here locally that, you know, it's very important because most businesses around here are thriving off of, you know, the people right around us. And so, you know, I enjoy it. I want people to be a part of good things, and I want people to experience new things, as well as for businesses to, you know, expand their clientele and their customers and become more profitable, because, you know, in the end, you know, it helps me, it helps the business, and it helps our community.
Awesome. Oops, I think I missed a question. How much can you tell about how someone feels if they don't tell you?
I think I'm maybe a little bit above average on this one. I definitely feel like I can understand individuals without them saying anything. I definitely look into, you know, how they react in their body language. You know, I guess that's a little easier when you're in person with them. But, you know, I feel like you can definitely understand somebody by just paying attention to them a little bit and listening. And listening might be with your ears, but it also might be with your eyes and how they react. And I think it's super important to understand that, because, you know, whether different people experience a lot of different things every single day. So, yeah, I think I am above average on understanding what people are saying without saying it.
Okay. How hard do you like to work?
I definitely live by I work hard, play hard. You know, I'll be honest, I'm not a guy who wants to work sun up to sundown. But I definitely want to work. I've noticed in my life that when I put forth a lot of effort and work into my job, I come home a little bit more satisfied and kind of excited to do the next thing that they can provide, whether it's, you know, being at home with the wife, or going out with friends, or getting ready for a short weekend. I feel more accomplished. I feel happier. I feel just overall better when I put hard work in and focus in on my tasks at hand during that time of work. You know, so I definitely live by the work hard, play hard, because, you know, it creates a lot of balance as well. So I believe I work hard, yeah.
Okay. At what age did you have your first responsible job?
Well, 18 probably, but one that sticks out a little bit more is probably 22. You know, I was out of the country for a little while doing some service, and so I came back and I got a job that I was responsible for these responsibilities by a company for all of Weber State campus. It was my job and my purpose to really expand the branding of a specific product on campus to the college students, and, you know, I had that for quite a while until I graduated, because I no longer could have it as a non-student. But that was a big responsibility, to be, you know, kind of have a little bit of weight on your shoulders to make sure that something was successful. You know, that's probably the most responsibility I had for a job up until that point.
Okay. Do you learn things rapidly?
I'm very capable of learning things rapidly. Yeah, I feel like I've had to as well. You know, being in the last few years, being in a couple different positions, it's just a new environment. I think to succeed, you have to really catch on to what's happening in front of you, and definitely pick up, you know, what's going on to make sure that you are able to put your best foot forward. I mean, whether it's a new skill that you have to put extra time into, you know, outside of work. We're really digging into, shadowing somebody to make sure that the processes are learned and the efficiency can move forward with what you have. I think I'm very capable of learning rapidly, yeah.
Okay, what things do you or have you learned rapidly?
Well, I think it goes back to this kiosk I did a little bit ago. I've never done anything quite like that. I've never opened up a kiosk. I've actually never even, up until this point, never hired anybody. I had literally 2.5 weeks to make it happen. And so, rapidly, some might argue, but I think that was very fast to find and hire 6 individuals who could be consistent enough and good enough workers to put in the time and effort and create a successful business adventure. I mean, from business licensing to contacting to negotiations with the mall business management to make sure that we have enough product, the right product, and new product to be able to display. I think that was very rapid in that time frame to make it very successful. And for the seasonal holidays, we were successful, and the employees turned out to be fantastic that we hired, and everything went very smoothly, and we ended up making money off of it. So that was definitely the most recent thing that I feel I learned rapidly, and I did it on my own essentially. I mean, I had a tiny bit of help from one other person, but it was my project, it was my responsibility, and it was my opportunity to either succeed or fail. So.
Okay, is it easy for you to give orders to people?
Orders, no. I definitely feel like I'm more of a team player, and so I definitely strive to connect with individuals, so I don't have that military type style. I kind of grew up with that, and it's not really what I really think it should be like in the business world. I try to create, in the management positions I've been in and different things, I try to create team atmosphere. And so, it's not an order that you give. It's more of a task and responsibility that when asked, when I can ask somebody about it, they don't feel threatened or they don't feel small. They definitely feel like an equal, and they understand the purpose behind it. So they take it more as a responsibility to themselves instead of an order. I want to build people up, and so making them an equal, not ordering them to do something is definitely my approach. So I can give responsibility pretty easy, and give tasks, but an order, I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay. Would you describe yourself as a highly organized person?
I would. Yes, and I try to think back in a position I've been in the workplace. I'm very organized. I try to make sure that things are laid out very simply as well. So in case someone else needed to come into my position, that they can understand what's been going on, what's happening in the processes that need to continue to stay in place to make sure that the job runs smoothly. I think even in your daily life, I honestly try to keep things very organized and clean in my personal life, even from my car to the house to the bedroom. I mean, I try to stay very organized to make sure that things can run very smoothly.
Tell me about a time in your last or current job where you demonstrated marketing expertise.
Yeah, I'll go back to the last one. Sometimes in marketing, I feel like there's difficult circumstances, and there's a way to reach out to individuals that can better connect to your purpose. And so my last, I'll just take you back to the kiosk experience because it was most recent. What happened was is I had that 2.5 weeks, but I also had $0 to market it. Foot traffic in the mall is always helpful, obviously, but that wasn't enough for us to be able to be successful. So what marketing adventure I went to, and this is different than what the job description kind of entails, but I think it's very important that you branch out and you definitely utilize the opportunities at hand. We have a pretty good, decent following on Instagram, but our following alone wasn't going to really help us that much because everybody knew about it. So what I did was I definitely reached out to local influencers here in the community and branded through them and with them about the product and the opportunity to receive better deals down at the kiosk. I was able to reach out with a handful of influencers here in the Ogden area, which helped push our brand and our kiosk in the mall, and that definitely was a huge player in marketing our brand to our local community to definitely know that the opportunity to touch these products and these bags was a possibility instead of just online, and it turned huge profits for us.
Awesome. So hold on, I scrolled away. How much do you want others to like you?
Yeah, I want others to like me for the right reasons. You know, I want people to definitely like and respect me because of, you know, the person I am and the positive things I do. You know, I'm not really out there to have people like me for who I'm not or for anything that they want me to be. But as an individual, I think it's important that people like, you know, obviously me in this question. I think it just creates better working relationships. I think it creates possibilities in the future. I think it helps with building relationships, building business, building all things around you because, you know, if somebody doesn't like you, well, they're not really interested in doing anything with you, whether that's fun or business. And, you know, I think it's important that, you know, one realizes the effect that you can have on other people. And I go back to, you know, networking here in the community, and I think, I dare say most, can't say all because you can never guarantee that, but I believe that most people like me for me and for the efforts that I put in my responsibilities here.
Okay. How effective are you at resolving conflict?
Pretty good. I think it's another one of those moments you definitely need to take a step back and kind of get a whole picture, get the whole picture of what the conflict is. If there's multiple parties involved, get them involved so it's not heavily one-sided. Conflict, I believe, though, is a tricky thing because usually emotions are heavily involved in conflict. So I think, you know, definitely taking a step back and making sure that, you know, all parties are heard and moving forward with the best information you can to resolve the conflict and take it step by step to make sure that, you know, everyone feels as though they're getting treated fairly.
Cool. When you've had a success, what do you do?
Honestly, I keep it to myself mostly. I feel fortunate enough in my life to have succeeded in more things than I've failed at. And I think I keep it in and try to stay humble about it because I feel fortunate than most, and maybe especially those around me haven't quite felt that success that I have, and so it's really hard for me to really, boast about it or gloat about it or even share about it because, I just experienced I've experienced success in my life, and so it's hard for me to share with those who haven't quite experienced the same thing, and so I definitely am more humble about success than maybe I should. I don't know. I don't like to gloat about it. I like to keep it within myself and with those who are close to me.
How do you feel when you make a mistake?
That's an interesting question. This has been a long time coming. I think this is, something that I've improved my whole life around. I've come a long way in knowing that life is full of mistakes, and it's not something that we can really control other than trying not to make the same mistake twice. That a learning experience is derived from each one of them because it's an opportunity for us to grow and learn and improve ourselves in life and in the business world. I mean, if you're presenting a sales pitch and you're moving through it pretty smoothly, and all of a sudden there's a big hiccup, you might lose the opportunity, you might lose the sale, you might, regret what just happened, but that mistake will stick with you, and you'll be able to learn and really have the opportunity not to make that mistake again. And so I accept mistakes. I just really try not to make the same mistake twice.
Okay. Do you have a passion for sales?
Yeah, I enjoy sales quite a bit. I think it's a challenge, which I like challenges. I like to accomplish, and I like sales because you can provide somebody with something good and possibly great. Sales provides something for someone to change their business. In this case, this really could provide some PR or some branding or sale opportunities for businesses here in our local community, and to give somebody that opportunity is exciting for me. And I guess that's what it comes down to. Is sales for me is a challenge, and it's exciting, and it's fun for me.
Cool. How do you measure your success?
Measuring success really depends on, for me, is seeing progress. I really try not to measure my success off anybody but myself. There's a starting point with everything, and growth is super important to that. And throughout stages of the growth period, you'll see spikes of faster success or faster opportunity, and vice versa, slower as well. But measuring success for me is definitely seeing growth and improvement in life and in business practice. So, success for me is definitely growth.
How important is it to play it safe when you're dealing with clients or prospects?
I believe it depends a little bit on the magnitude of the client or prospect, but playing it safe rarely gets you to new places. And so with much respect and vigor, I think you move forward with, going for it. I think going for it, you'll get a lot more places as long as you're respectful and understanding. Playing it safe, typically doesn't get you very far. And I guess the old saying is nothing ventured, nothing earned, or high risk, high reward. I think definitely pays off in most situations, and I think with this position, playing it safe might just get you a thank you or a high five, but really going for it can get you new places, new business, new adventures. So yeah, I play it safe sometimes, but I usually like to go for it.
Okay. Do you prefer to reuse an idea that you've seen work before, or would you rather build the proposal around a new idea?
I definitely like to use what works. But along with that, I think it goes back to, what's your risk, what's your reward. If something's just working mediocrely, I think you need to go for it sometimes. But if you're in the beginning stages and you're really learning and figuring out what the process is, I think it's important for yourself to create that base to make sure that you understand what can work and what will work. And then from there, build off of that and try to create new avenues to create more business and more sales opportunities to really go for it. So, yeah, I think it's a shared balance of those two things.
Okay. Do you love a good debate?
Yes, a good debate. I think it's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that a little bit, just to for people to really understand, a good debate, going back and forth and expressing what people really believe in and what they believe is right. I think it's totally fine, as long as it just stays to a debate and people respect what people have to say.
Okay. How often do you find yourself noticing advertisements?
Often.
Tell me about some you've noticed the last couple days.
T-Mobile is a huge one. This quick advertisement on Hulu. I watch some TV shows, and the repetition has definitely stuck out to me quite a bit. They originally it was a Verizon commercial that came up with this idea, but T-Mobile used the same idea and honestly like the same video and infographic and everything, and just flipped it to kind of make themselves. Let's see, Verizon was really pushing them down, and T-Mobile used the opportunity to rebrand it and repurpose it to show us as a potential customer that T-Mobile is what it is, and created a real value in themselves again after Verizon kind of pushed them down in the dirt. So that's definitely one that stuck out, and I've seen it a few different times. Also, little advertisements. I play a little game, a little card game on my phone, and a game for kind of adventure game with different levels and skills pops up, and it comes up, and it definitely sticks out quite a bit. And I've almost downloaded a handful of times because it's grabbed my attention, it's grabbed my interest. But I haven't done it because I know it's just going to waste my time, and that's why I haven't done it. But yeah, I think big thing with advertisements is repetition. Making something that's eye popping and eye catching definitely is very effective.
Okay, so you mentioned the T-Mobile ad. What do you think that the advertiser is trying to accomplish?
Showing value. Yeah, I definitely feel like T-Mobile gets a bad rap for a lot of things with not having as good a coverage as AT&T or Verizon, but they definitely focus in on what they can give a customer And I think that's super important. You know, the message portrayed can be understood for potential customer. You know, understanding that T-Mobile has more to offer than just, you know, a bunch of unlimited shared data between the family. I mean, they're definitely improving their network. They're improving their coverage, and you know, as time goes on, it's going to continue to get better. And I don't even have T-Mobile, but you know, I definitely see that as a positive, and I've thought about switching because of the value that it provides. You know, with increased coverage and unlimited this and a better price for the plan. You know, it's tempted me a handful of times, and you know, it might get me soon.
That's awesome. Tell me about some of the ways you have been involved in the community.
Yeah, I think it goes back to my time at Habitat was probably my biggest involvement within the community. I hosted a big gala event back in 2014 for Habitat for Humanity, and it was, you know, it was the event I put on. We called it the Build Hope. We were raising funds to improve and build upon our mission as an organization. I put a lot of hard work in this and reached out to a lot of community members and businesses, and got a lot of individuals involved in, you know, America First, Key Bank, Citibank, Getaway Today, a company called Get Air. A few of these sponsors definitely were big players in this and bringing, you know, employees and other community members to this event, where we had Anna Wilson, who is a pretty big name in the jazz music world. She loves Habitat, and she wrote a song that's kind of the Habitat theme song, but she relocated to the Ogden Valley, and I was able to get in contact with her and book her for a show, and she was super helpful. You know, she was very generous in what she charged us. But a big thing is, you know, we got the community involved with gift baskets and silent auction prizes and people attending. We had, you know, Hub 801 Event Center up in Ogden host us. We had Roosters cater us. We had, like I said, 10 or 11 business sponsors. We had 225 community members join us for the event, and you know, it's kind of on a smaller side for a nonprofit gala, but we were super proud because it was our first one we've ever done. We're a very small organization. We haven't had the community impact in the past, and that was a huge success for us to get so many people involved and raise quite a bit of money. And people were very generous in what they were able to pass out. And you know, that was my biggest community involvement that I've been a part of. I'm involved with Weaver Pathways as well. My dad is the chair of the board there, and is heavily involved, and he has been for a long time. So I'm able to get involved there, and I have a couple other friends who get involved pretty deeply, so I'm able to participate in different things. Last one, I don't know if you ever saw that Haircut for Homeless video float around.
No, I haven't.
No? Okay. Well, it was a video. It was an event that a couple of my friends put on, a couple stylists. They gave haircuts to the homeless. Another group of friends, maybe more acquaintances made the video. But the role we played, we were just a small T-shirt sponsor of the last company I was involved with. But really just being a part of things, you know, for the betterment of our community is the things that I'm super interested in. And, you know, it ended up going viral. I mean, there was millions and millions of views, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of it, to show, you know, the care and just the love for the community that, you know, myself and other people around me have.
Okay. Do you have a sixth sense for knowing how to make another person feel good?
Uh, sometimes I feel like I do. Um, you know, sometimes it's difficult to understand how and it's hard because everybody's a little bit different, but for the most part, yes. I can't say the sixth sense works every time though, but I definitely can say that I put effort towards making sure that people do feel good and that people feel appreciated and loved that are around me. I just think it's good, it's important, and it's healthy. You know, people need people.
Okay. Compared to other salespeople in your company, do your clients get a better return on investment from the solutions you sell?
Yeah, I think they did. So like I said, I sold B2B in the Western United States, and I put great effort into it. You know, I had 90 resale stores, and so you know I didn't get to know all of them. Some of them were very inactive in purchasing, and some of them were very active. And so, you know, I definitely focused on ones that were, you know, more active. But one specifically was in Colorado, and we do have some field reps as well. But I stayed in contact with them, and I was able to walk them through a lot of different transactions. But this particular store sticks out to me because the buyer just appreciated what I did for them. I really went the extra mile, making sure that the process was very smooth for them, that they understood. And you know, he actually chose to deal with me personally, and it's kind of a nice gesture and pat on my back to show that like people appreciate hard work and people appreciate you going a little bit farther, maybe the extra mile for them, and their return was definitely more than just dollars. It was somebody who really cared about them and looked out for their best interest, and it was a good and a successful feeling for myself.
Okay. Tell me about a sale you finally made that took a long time to develop, and take me through it step by step.
One was with a company out in California. We were going through kind of a closeout period with some old product, and this company it was one of our bigger ones, but we felt an opportunity between us that there is definitely potential to move a lot of products through their store. And so what we did is that we definitely broke down what had been selling in the past with this specific retail store and broke down which products were best. We outlined those products, got those products to them, and then focused in on helped market for them to make sure that they could sell the products that we closed out to them. It was a successful experience. We moved a lot of products to them. It was a big sale for us. It was great ROI on their part because we took the time to make sure that we got them the right products that would sell to their demographic. And we just didn't dump a lot of product on them to, hopefully sell in the future. And I think, putting the time into it to research and really get down to the nitty gritty on, the products that would move through them was a very successful experience. And it turned out, it was a big sale for us, and it continually moved product and created sales for them. So that was kind of fun.
Okay. What short-term goal do you feel you will most likely achieve, and when do you think you will achieve it?
Short-term goal is a new job, honestly. That's the thing that's on the forefront of my mind. That's the thing that I really, really want and I need for myself. And, I look to achieve that within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Are you quick to form opinions?
No. I think, no, I don't believe I am. I think, yeah, there's more to be learned. There's more to be experienced than to be quick to judge and quick to form an opinion about something without knowing a lot about it, you know. So, yeah, it takes me a minute to really form a true opinion and one that I can stand by. You know, I guess, you know, if a quick opinion, I don't believe you can really stand by that and really be convinced to yourself of what that strong opinion is if you don't really know and you don't believe what it is. So it takes me a little bit longer just to form opinions.
Are you addicted to a positive attitude?
Yeah, I don't quite understand pessimism very well. I just don't know why people really want that in their life, and you know, it's something that I sort of struggle with a little bit of why people want to do that. But I definitely look for the good. It makes me happier, you know, to see opportunity and to see optimism in all things. It's just a big lift. I mean, instead of a downer.
Okay. Would you say you are more organized at work or at home?
Work.
What have you found is the best way to learn how businesses work?
I think it's the best way is to learn from those within the company who are experiencing it firsthand. Every business I've been a part of is a little bit different, and whatever position one might be in the company, there's always others who experience the business as well. To get a full grasp of that, I think it's super important to learn the business and its attributes from the employees or your coworkers within. I just think it provides a great deal of information for yourself to really go off of and learn from. So yeah, definitely from the individuals within.
Do you always set goals much higher than those of other people?
No, not necessarily. Goals depend on me and what my possibilities are. You know, it's maybe not bad to benchmark off of other individuals, but like I said, everybody's different, and you know, your growth patterns and your experiences are a lot different. So, you know, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea to find out what other people's goals are and maybe help direct yourself. But no, I don't look to set higher goals than anybody because I want to set a higher goal. I set goals for myself, and honestly, typically those goals are probably higher than others, just because of the expectation for myself. But I don't set a goal higher than somebody to be better or in any way like that.
Okay. Think about a marketing book you have read recently or a marketing blog you read regularly. Tell me some things you've learned recently from these sources.
One I really dipped into is utilizing free marketing. That's probably the most recent. I think that's what really helped me with the kiosk experience is definitely reaching out to people around you to help brand without putting money into stuff. I mean, a great deal of marketing involves money, but there's a lot of ways to market yourself with co-branding and co-sharing and social influence. And you know, that was definitely a huge help for me to push the envelope with zero marketing dollars and create an opportunity for us to be successful. So yeah, it was definitely the influence of social influencers that kind of pushed me in that direction and gave me some great information to be successful.
Okay. Think of your biggest client. What is their most important need, and what have you done to help them solve it?
Yeah, I think the biggest client goes back to that store in California I mentioned a little bit earlier. You know, they did have needs, and they were the biggest in my territory. The one thing that they really needed was consistency. They needed to be in contact. They needed to make sure that problems were resolved in a timely manner. They needed to make sure that orders were put through, and their shelves and their rack space was always up to date. And so, yeah, I think the biggest need that they had was consistency in all aspects of their business through our business.
Okay. You're riding on an airplane, hoping to get a little sleep. In the row in front of you, a baby has been crying for the last 10 minutes. What are you thinking?
You know, it's I love little kids, and even though crying can be pretty obnoxious sometimes, you know, it's difficult because definitely some shut eye. But the thought that goes through my head is, you know, I feel bad for the mom or dad or whoever has control of that kid, because it's not something they want. And you know, I'm definitely not going to be the guy who is from the back row saying, "Get your kid quiet." I don't have any kids yet. Soon, hopefully, but you know, I look around, and sometimes it's difficult to be a parent. So you know, my thoughts are, you know, I wish I can get some sleep, but I'm not going to be the guy who does anything mean to those trying to get the baby quiet. Just, I don't know. Honestly, I might even offer up some help.
Okay. What are your sources of business news?
Well, I don't mean this to be a cliche answer, but I definitely I follow the standard on social sites. That's a big one for local, and that's probably the one I generate most from. Other sources, I do a little bit of tweeting and a little bit of Facebook. That, you know, you see a lot of NBC type stuff flowing through there. So those are probably the biggest ones for me.
Okay. How do you feel when your coworkers constantly gripe?
Geez, that's tough. I haven't really been around that very much, so kind of a difficult one to answer. But you know, griping it's difficult. It can be obnoxious as well. You know, it's kind of going back to that pessimistic attitude. I just don't quite understand. You know, there's a lot of things to be grateful for, and so I don't know. And I haven't really been around a bunch of coworkers griping all the time. So, yeah, I think it'd be a very difficult thing to handle, and definitely something to talk about and resolve. You know, maybe not directly with the coworkers, but get more people involved, maybe a manager, to discuss what the options are to eliminate the griping or being around it.
How do you feel when you're not in charge?
If I'm not in charge, I want to be the best support. You know, it's difficult to have two voices, to have two leaders essentially that maybe have conflicting views and on. And when I'm the leader, I appreciate those who are supporting me and helping me do the job better. But if I'm not, I want to be that support guy who helps be successful, create that team environment, I make sure that I understand my role. Yeah, if I'm not the leader, I want to be the best supporter of that leader.
What would you say are some of the biggest changes taking place in advertising and marketing nowadays?
Nowadays, I think, well, yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, and it's gone there quite a bit, but moving into the digital world, you know, I think it's going to get more and more. I mean, I see a lot of elderly people with electronics now, and you know, the marketing world is definitely switching to digital. It will never switch. Well, I can't say never, but the majority of it is digital, and it'll just become greater over to digital. You know, those, public advertisements, pay-per-click, even you know, a lot of co-branding is huge as well. So I think, you know, moving in the direction of, you know, where people are is a huge one, and most people are on digital, whether that's a website that they love or a social platform. Yeah, I think that's the direction, and you know, you want to put your money where the eyes are.
Okay. Are you ever negative or upset with yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I don't think you would be human if you weren't. You know,
What do you do to get yourself out of it?
with myself, I don't believe I'm negative very often. But it's, you know, going back to making a mistake, you know, it's upsetting to make mistakes, and but you have to accept it. And so what I do typically is I go back and I try to understand what happened, go through the process of, you know, where I made the mistake or where that negativity came from, and recognize what it was, so that when it comes again, I can try and avoid it or fix it at the root. So, you know, definitely just taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture to make sure that you put yourself in a better situation to, you know, be positive, and create a solution for yourself.
Okay. Would you say you're a plan it, rehearse it kind of person, or are you a more spontaneous, take as it comes kind of person?
Wait, what was the first part of that question? A planet type person?
A plan
right?
it, yeah, a plan it, rehearse it kind of person, or spontaneous, take it as it comes kind of person?
Well, I think a lot of people would say the exact same thing about myself. I'm definitely a planet with the option to be spontaneous. You know, I like to have a plan in my life, no doubt. I like to move forward with direction, but I typically don't have a problem to change that plan if, you know, the options are better, an opportunity arises to be spontaneous. I like to have a direction. I like to move forward, but I have no problem with deviating for something that could be better or more exciting.
Okay. How do you solve problems?
Definitely breaking down. You know, every problem has a solution, and so understanding what the problem is specifically is step one, I believe. And then moving forward is dissecting, you know, the different parts of it and finding solutions for the parts, so you can definitely come together with a solution to figure it out. You know, I guess I've faced a handful of problems in my life, some large and some small, and to be able to solve a problem, you definitely have to get to the root of it. And sometimes that's really difficult. And sometimes that takes time. But yeah, definitely getting to the root of it and then breaking it down and finding out what processes you can put in place to prevent that from happening again is the best case scenario for myself.
Okay. Do you usually control the conversation, or do you let the other person control the conversation?
Depends on the conversation. I definitely like to listen, though. I don't believe you can even gain control of a conversation unless you listen and you know what the other person is trying to say in the business sense or not. So, you know, I do like to control, but I don't necessarily believe control means, you know, talking the whole time.
Okay. Do you prefer to work? Oh, go ahead.
No, I just going to finish off by saying I think a lot of control comes with listening as well.
Okay. And here I'm not listening. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Do you prefer to work autonomously or be engaged with team members, and why?
Team members for sure. You know, I think it goes back to the additive of 1 + 1 = 3. I think, you know, having that team surround you, it just sets you up for greater possibilities. I like teamwork. I like helping other people. I like when people help me as well. You know, I just think it's better. I think it's more productive. It's more satisfying when you have a group of individuals to share your successes with and to help pick you up when you're down, or you pick them up when you're down, or when they're down. Yeah, I'm more of a team player.
Okay. Do you persuade people to do things they did not intend to do?
Yes, in some things. I like to see what people are capable of. I think, you know, being spontaneous and maybe a little bit of a risk taker, I believe people need to get outside of their comfort zone just a little bit. But I want to persuade somebody into doing something that they're capable of. You know, I don't want to persuade somebody into doing something that they won't be able to handle or they won't be able to be successful at. And I see that with my wife a lot, actually. She's very talented in so many different ways, but sometimes it's really hard for her to get outside of her comfort zone. And you know, I feel like every time I've persuaded her to get outside of that comfort zone just a little bit, she accomplishes that and she sees what she did and what was possible. And I think you can take that into a business sense as well, especially if you're in a management role. You know, I think it's good to push your employees a little bit and persuade them to do, you know, things you think are possible. And then when they succeed, you need to congratulate them and pat them on the back and let them know that was a job well done. And, you know, if they don't succeed, you know, take it as a learning experience and show them, like, what was good from it and what, you know, possibilities can come from it, from what they did do. So, yeah, I do like to persuade people into doing good things that can improve them.
Okay. How realistic is it these days to always do what you say you will?
Yeah, I think it's very realistic. I think it's very important as well. You know, I think people need to be, you know, for myself, I need to be a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I need to pull through and make sure that it happens. It's as simple as that. I don't think it needs to go any deeper.
Okay. Tell me about an accomplishment you are proud of. Take me through it step by step. What obstacles did you have to overcome, and how did you overcome
them? Yeah, I'm going to go back to just my most recent one. It was a big obstacle. It goes back to the kiosk experience where the obstacle was being successful. I got tasked with it 2.5 weeks before the kiosk was supposed to open. Some of those obstacles were negotiations of price for the kiosk, negotiations where it needed to be so we could set up and be successful. Negotiations were pushing through a business license in that short of a time to make sure that we legally were able to do business. Hiring, we had to hire 6 employees because none of them could work full time, where we had to, overcome scheduling difficulties, hiring difficulties, product obstacles. We didn't have the right amount of products. I had to get a couple new products in 2.5 weeks to fill the vision that we had created for ourselves. Another obstacle was a good obstacle in the end, but sometimes an obstacle is sharing vision and collaborating to make sure that the direction 2 individuals want to take something is the same or at least compromised, and that's one thing that we had to do. And so, it's definitely a big planning process and implementation to get these steps in place to make sure that they were, one, done and done on time, and set up to make sure that we were successful. And in those 2.5 weeks, we were able to negotiate a price we were willing to agree to, sign contracts, get the business license, get employees hired, good employees, and product that set us up for a successful seasonal period.
Okay. When you're trying to figure out the needs of a client or prospect, what do you ask about early on in the conversation?
I think the first thing to focus on is get them talking about their strengths and what they've done good in the past. Get them feeling very positive about the experiences they've had, and then kind of move into things that they could do better or where they need some help. Once you find out those obstacles, concerns, or whatever those might be for your client, you can kind of break down and give them solutions on what possibilities are out there. Because you definitely don't, you can always make good things better, but if you can make bad things good things, it really shows positivity in the client's eyes and shows that, even in lacking areas, you can make positive ROI on and move forward with that. So I definitely tend to talk about the positives and then work into the so-called negatives to make those into positives.
Okay. What are your future career goals and personal aspirations?
First, personal aspirations. First off, I wanna be a family man. I wanna have a few kids. Definitely move forward and give my family an opportunity to be happy and successful. To do that, I think it's important to make sure that your job life is in tune with what you want, and kind of moving into the career aspirations. I want to be an influencer, and I want to do good. I want to do good by the community I'm a part of and the company I'm involved with. I believe I have a lot to give. I believe I take on challenges and I accomplish those. As you can see from my resume, I kind of had some different responsibilities and have gone in a couple of different directions, but I can honestly say that the things that I've been given as tasks and responsibilities I've succeeded at and taken head on and turned essentially an ROI on the experience. And that's how I want to direct my career on is definitely moving forward and taking those responsibilities and advancing them. I like progression, and with the standard, I definitely want to move up and be more of an influencer within the company and the community. I think there's a lot to be a lot to give back in a position like this and in the positions ahead of it. So, you know, I really want to influence, and I really want to make people happy.
Okay. What am I doing here? So, very last question. You're like, yay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me to help me get to know you better?
Yeah. You know, I feel like there's a lot of questions that just got asked, and I think a lot of information can be understood about the kind of person I am. But I really want you and everyone else really to know that I really put my best foot forward in things I get involved in, and you know, I strive to be successful. I really try to adapt the process and try to learn the best I can from those around me to become better as an individual and as an employee. You know, I feel like I understand the role I'm given, whether that's a leadership role. You know, I wore two hats this last company. I was a manager in one aspect and a leader, and in the other, I was not. I was the exact opposite. I was a part of the team, and I wasn't there to lead, and I was there to fulfill and complete responsibilities. And I believe in myself. I believe I can accomplish great things, and I believe that I can fulfill this responsibility that the Standard has for this position. Do I believe that I have a handful of things to learn? Yeah, absolutely. You know, to be frank, I mean the digital world. I was more part of it right out of college. Got a good grasp of it, and then have just kind of dabbled in it since then. But it's definitely an area of interest for myself, and you know I can apply myself and do just about anything, and I think this is something that I really can do. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate the time to further the opportunity with you.
Awesome. Well, we are done.
Okay.
And I just want to say thank you for taking the time. I can take you off the speaker now too. I just